Well, shoot. You clicked because something in that thumbnail hit. And I need you to stay right here for the next few minutes because what I am about to tell you is probably the reason your body has not been cleaning itself the way it should. Not because of your age, not because of anything you did wrong, because of something you are doing every single day without realizing it. And it is quietly shutting down one of the most powerful repair systems your body has. It is called autophagy. And yes, that word sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Autophagy is your body's cellular cleanup crew. It goes in, finds the damaged parts, the worn out proteins, the cellular debris that builds up over years, and it gets rid of them. It is how your cells stay young inside an aging body. It is the reason some people at 70 feel 50. And here's the part that probably no one has told you. After 65, your body's ability to trigger autophagy does not disappear, but it gets blocked quietly, consistently, every single day by things you would never suspect. Is this you? Because if it is, keep watching. Because in the next few minutes, I am going to walk you through exactly what is stopping it, what the science actually says, and what you can do starting today, not next month, not after some complicated overhaul, today to get that cellular cleanup working again. You have probably been told that slowing down is just part of getting older. It is not. And thousands of people your age are already proving it. Block one: what autophagy actually does and why it matters after 65. Let me paint a picture for you. Think about the last time you felt genuinely rested. Not just slept through the night, but woke up and your joints did not announce themselves before you got to the bathroom. Your mind felt clear. Your body felt like it was on your side, not working against you. For a lot of people over 65, that feeling has quietly faded. And most of the time, the explanation they get is the same one. It is just age. Your doctor says it with a shrug. Your friends say it with a sigh. And slowly, you start to believe it too. But here's what is actually happening at the cellular level, and it is not what you think. Inside every single cell in your body, there is a process called autophagy. The word comes from Greek. Auto means self. Phagy means eating. Your body is literally consuming its own damaged parts. And that sounds alarming, but it is actually one of the most protective, regenerative things your biology can do. A Japanese scientist named Yoshinori Osumi won the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2016, specifically for his research on this process. That is how significant it is. Here's the simple version. Over time, your cells accumulate junk, damaged proteins, worn out mitochondria, which are the little power plants inside your cells, bits of cellular debris that pile up like clutter in a room you never clean. Autophagy is the cleaning process. When it is working, your cells are more efficient, your energy is cleaner, your inflammation stays lower, and your body is better at handling the normal wear and tear of every day. When it stops working, the junk stays, and it builds. Researchers at the Buck Institute for Research on Aging have found that impaired autophagy is directly associated with the accumulation of damaged cellular components, which is linked to everything from joint inflammation and slower muscle recovery to cognitive fog and fatigue that does not go away with sleep. Now, here's the thing that most health content for your age group misses entirely. Autophagy does not just slow down because you are older, it gets actively blocked by specific identifiable triggers that most people encounter every single day without knowing it. I spoke to Margaret. She is 69 years old. She had been managing joint stiffness in both knees for about 4 years. She had tried anti inflammatories, supplements, even a short course of physical therapy. She was doing most things right. But she was unknowingly doing three things every day that were shutting down autophagy before it had a chance to work. At 7 weeks after changing just those three things, she told me the stiffness in her mornings had dropped noticeably. Her words were these: I did not expect anything to happen this fast. I thought I had just accepted this was my life now. Margaret had not failed. Her biology had not failed her. The process was being interrupted, and once she stopped interrupting it, it started working again. That is what we are here to talk about today. Block 2. The three things that are stopping your autophagy right now. Before I get into this, let me say something clearly. Everything I'm about to share is not an indictment of your choices. These are not mistakes you made because you were careless or uninformed. These are things that are built into modern life and into conventional health. Advice And almost nobody has connected them to autophagy for people in their 60s and 70s. So if you recognize yourself in any of these, do not blame yourself. Understand the biology. That is the only thing that actually helps. Here's mistake number one, and it's the one nobody sees coming. You are eating too frequently. And I do not mean you are overeating. I mean you are eating across too many hours of the day. Autophagy, at its core, is a fasting activated process. Your body needs a period without incoming calories to shift into cleanup mode. When there is food coming in, even in small amounts, your body stays in build mode. It is processing, storing, synthesizing. Autophagy is suppressed because the building signals, primarily a protein called mTOR, are still running. A study published in the journal Cell Metabolism in 2019 followed adults over the age of 60 who simply shifted their eating into a narrower window of time each day, keeping the same total calories, just compressing them into 8 to 10 hours instead of spreading them across 14 or 15 hours. The result was meaningful. Markers of cellular stress decreased, energy levels improved, and inflammatory signals dropped in as little as 8 weeks. What this means for you is this. If you have your first cup of coffee with a small snack at 7 in the morning, eat lunch at noon, have a small snack at 3, dinner at 6, and a handful of something while watching television at 9, you are giving your body almost no window to enter the fasted state that autophagy requires. You're not doing anything extreme. You are just never quite giving your cells the signal they are waiting for. The fix is not complicated. It does not require skipping meals. It does not require going hungry. It is simply about when, not what. Think about what this means in practice. If you are someone who wakes at 6:30, has your first bite by 7, grazes through the evening, and sometimes finishes a late snack around 9 or 9:30, your eating window is 14 to 15 hours long. That leaves a window of only 9 or 10 hours for your body to do the cleanup. And of that window, several hours are shallow sleep, during which autophagy signals are building but have not yet peaked. By the time the peak would arrive, you are already introducing calories again. You're not hungry all day. You're not doing anything wrong by eating regularly. But your cells are never quite getting the silence they need to start working. And I will tell you exactly how to implement this in a moment. But first, let me tell you about mistake number two, because this one surprised almost everyone I have shared it with. Here's mistake number two. You are taking things at the wrong time. This sounds vague, so let me be specific. There are certain supplements, and I know many of you are taking several, that are genuinely beneficial for your health. Omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, protein powders, even some amino acid blends. The issue is not what they are. The issue is when you take them. Here's the biology. Autophagy is primarily regulated by a system called the mTOR pathway. mTOR is essentially the growth and repair signal. When mTOR is activated, your body builds. When mTOR is low, your body cleans. The problem is that several common supplements, particularly amino acids and high protein shakes, activate mTOR directly. And mTOR activation suppresses autophagy almost immediately. A 2021 review in the journal Nutrients examined the timing effects of protein intake on autophagy markers in adults over 60 and found that consuming amino acid-rich supplements or high-protein meals during the morning, specifically within the first 2 hours after waking, significantly blunted the overnight fasted state, during which autophagy would otherwise be peaking. If you are waking up and immediately taking a protein supplement or a handful of amino acid capsules because you have been told muscle preservation requires morning protein, you are not wrong about muscle preservation. But you may be inadvertently shutting down the very cleanup process your cells were in the middle of finishing. The fix, again, is about timing, not elimination. There is also a second layer to this that almost nobody discusses in content aimed at people your age. It has to do with insulin. When you eat carbohydrates, your body releases insulin to manage blood sugar. Insulin itself is one of the most powerful suppressors of autophagy known. And again, this is not a reason to fear carbohydrates or go on a restrictive diet. It is simply a reason to understand that frequent carbohydrate intake throughout the day keeps insulin elevated, which keeps the autophagy switch in the off position. This is part of why people who have cut back on sugar and refined carbohydrates sometimes report feeling cleaner and clearer without fully understanding why. Their cellular cleanup is no longer being suppressed as consistently. The biology catches up to the experience before the explanation ever arrives. For you, This does not mean dramatic dietary change. It means being aware that both what you eat and when you eat it are part of the autophagy equation. A consistent overnight fast addresses the when. A diet that naturally allows insulin to drop during that fasted window supports the what. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be consistent enough that your body gets the signal regularly. Now, mistake number 3. This is the one almost everyone is making, and it is the one that is hardest to talk about because it feels counterintuitive. Here's mistake number 3. You are exercising in a way that actually suppresses autophagy more than it activates it. Let me be clear before the resistance kicks in. Exercise is one of the most powerful triggers for autophagy that exists. A study published in Nature in 2012 showed that exercise activates autophagy in muscle, heart, and liver tissue in ways that promote cellular longevity. Exercise is not the problem. The problem is the type of exercise and the timing that most people over 65 default to. Specifically, 2 common patterns suppress autophagy instead of triggering it. The first is constant low-intensity movement without any higher effort intervals. Long, slow walks every day, while genuinely beneficial for cardiovascular health and mood, do not generate the cellular stress signal that activates autophagy. The body does not need to clean up if it never pushed into mild challenge. The second pattern is intense exercise, followed immediately by a large meal or protein supplement. There is a window immediately after exercise during which autophagy peaks sharply. Many health-conscious older adults have been told to eat protein immediately after exercise for muscle recovery. This is solid advice for muscle building, but it terminates the autophagy window early. Raymond is 67 years old. He had been walking 45 minutes every morning for 3 years and taking a protein shake within 30 minutes of finishing. His doctor was pleased with his consistency. His joints still hurt. His energy was still flat. Raymond was doing everything right for muscle maintenance, but the one thing that would have addressed his cellular inflammation, his autophagy window, was being closed every single morning before it could do its work. When Raymond adjusted to adding 2 short bursts of higher effort walking into his routine and simply waited 60 to 90 minutes before his post-walk protein, he started feeling a difference at week 6. Less stiffness in his hips, more consistent afternoon energy. His words, "I did not realize I was getting in my own way." So now that you understand the 3 main blockers, let me ask you something directly. Comment autophagy below if cellular cleanup is something you want to support. Comment energy. If energy and inflammation are your biggest concerns right now, I read every single one, and your answers shape what I cover next. Block 3. The real question, what your body needs you to do differently starting today. Here is where most health videos get it wrong. They tell you what is broken and then leave you with a list of 20 steps and a shopping cart full of supplements. That is not what we are doing today. Because the real question is not what is autophagy and how does it work. You already understand that now. The real question is this: given your specific situation, your schedule, your limitations, your energy level right now today, what is the single most accessible change that will start reopening that cellular cleanup window? Let me give you the answer in 3 practical parts. First, the eating window. You do not need to fast dramatically. You do not need to skip breakfast if breakfast is something you love and look forward to. What you need is a consistent overnight fast of at least 12 hours. That means if you finish eating at 7 in the evening, your first food the next morning waits until 7. That is it. That is the floor. And it is enough to begin reopening the autophagy signal for most adults over 65, particularly those who have been eating across 14 or 16 hours for years. If you can extend that window to 14 hours comfortably, meaning finishing dinner at 6 and eating breakfast at 8, the cellular signals strengthen considerably. A 2018 study in the journal Aging Cell followed adults with an average age of 68 who maintained a 14-hour overnight fast for 12 weeks. Researchers observed measurable improvement in autophagy markers, reduction in inflammatory proteins, and self-reported improvement in joint comfort and energy consistency, not in months. The first measurable changes appeared at weeks 4 through 6. You do not need to white knuckle this. You are not going to starve. Your body spent hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution doing exactly this. A long overnight fast followed by a focused eating period during the day is not deprivation. It is the pattern your cells were designed for. Second, Supplement timing. If you're taking protein supplements, amino acids, or even a substantial breakfast with significant protein in the first 1 to 2 hours after waking, consider simply shifting that window. Drink water in the morning, have black coffee or plain tea if you need it. Both are compatible with autophagy activation. Save your protein intake for later in the morning or early afternoon. This small adjustment, pure timing, nothing else changed, allows the overnight autophagy process to complete its final wave before your mTOR signal shuts it down. One thing worth noting here, because a few people always ask, vitamins and minerals taken with water on an empty stomach do not meaningfully activate mTOR. Fat soluble vitamins like D and K are fine, taken with a small amount of healthy fat. It is specifically amino acid dense foods and supplements that send the mTOR signal. Keep that distinction clear, and you will have no trouble navigating your current supplement routine. Third, your movement window. You do not need to change how much you exercise. You may need to change how you exercise within the time you already have. If you walk every day, which is wonderful, try this. For 3 minutes somewhere in the middle of your walk, pick up the pace to the point where holding a full conversation becomes mildly challenging. Not painful, not breathless, just effortful. Then slow back down. Do that 2 or 3 times across a 30 to 45-minute walk. This is called brief intensity variation, and it generates the cellular stress signal that autophagy requires to activate fully. The research here is compelling. A 2020 study in the Journal of Gerontology found that adults over 65 who incorporated brief intensity variations, periods of higher effort lasting 2 to 5 minutes, into otherwise moderate exercise routines showed significantly higher autophagy activation compared to those who maintained constant low intensity effort, even when total exercise time was identical. After that walk, wait. Give your body 60 to 90 minutes before your post-exercise protein or meal. That window is the peak of your autophagy response. Do not close it the moment you walk through the door. These 3 adjustments, eating window, supplement timing, movement variation, cost you nothing. They require no new equipment, no new products. They are changes to when and how, not what. And here's something I want you to hold on to when doubt creeps in, because it will. There will be a morning where you wake up and nothing feels different yet, and you wonder if any of this is worth the adjustment. That moment is normal. It does not mean the process is not working. It means you are at the beginning of a biological shift that takes several weeks to become something you can feel. The researchers who study autophagy in older adults consistently note that the first subjective changes people report are not dramatic. They are quiet. Slightly less stiffness getting out of bed. A small window of afternoon energy that was not there before. Waking up with a clearer head. These are the early signals. They come before the bigger changes. And the people who stick with it long enough to feel the early signals are the ones who eventually come back and say they cannot imagine going back to how they were doing it before. Do not wait for a dramatic transformation to believe the process is working. Watch for the quiet signals. They come first. Bonus, the one thing you can do today. Before you go, I promise you something you can act on immediately. Here's your one thing for today. Tonight, after you finish dinner, stop eating. Not dramatically, not with anxiety. Just stop. Note what time it is, and then make a quiet decision to let your next calories, whether that is coffee with milk, a protein shake, or actual breakfast, wait until 12 hours later. That is it. That is your first step back into autophagy activation. Not a supplement, not a program, just a window. If you go to bed at 10 and wake at 6 and your dinner ended at 7, you already have 12 hours. The window is already there. You're just consciously protecting it now, instead of closing it with a late night snack out of habit. Most people skip this, not because they do not care, because nobody has explained it this way. The ones who do not skip it are consistently the ones who tell me they felt something different before any other change happened. Do not underestimate how quickly your cells respond when you stop blocking them. Closing. Here's what I want you to take with you today. Autophagy is not a young person's superpower. It belongs to you. It is running in your body right now, or trying to. And the reason it may not be doing its job fully is not your age. It is not irreversible. It is 3 specific, manageable interruptions that you now know how to address. A consistent overnight fasting window, times protein intake that respects your cellular cleanup schedule, and movement that includes brief moments of effort that actually send the signal your cells need. Consistency matters more than intensity. Always. Small steps repeated over weeks create the kind of change you can actually feel. And people your age, people exactly like you, are already feeling it. Some of them as early as week 4, some at week 6, not months from now, weeks. If this helped you in any way today, hit like. It takes 1 second and it helps someone else your age who is searching for this exact information find it. If you know someone in your life who has been told their fatigue or joint pain is just age, share this with them. You might give them something their doctor has not. Subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next. Because in the next episode, we are going into something even more specific: the exact foods that either activate or suppress autophagy, and the ones that surprise almost everyone over 65. If today was useful, that one is going to change how you look at your plate entirely. Comment autophagy if you are ready to start protecting that cleanup window. Comment energy if fatigue and inflammation are your biggest challenge right now. I read every single comment, and every single answer guides what I share next. It is not too late, and you do not have to wait long to feel the difference.